Welcome to Flip the Cap, the insurance industry's premier podcast. I'm your host, Kathryn Smith, and I can't wait to pop the top on all things insurance with you today, sharing important industry trends, coverage comparisons, legislative changes, and specialized content just for you. On today's episode, I'm super thrilled to have John LaCava joining me as our special guest. John LaCava is the Chief Operating Officer of Jencap. He's been an insurance professional for nearly 40 years and has extensive underwriting, operational, and technical experience. John co-founded Aaron Insurance Services Group in 2009, which was purchased by Jencap in 2019. Prior to Aaron, he held various C-level positions with many noteworthy companies, including QBE North America. In the interest of time, I'm skipping a very seasoned resume here, because it's quite long. So without further ado, let's pop the top and get into it.
Cool.
John,
Thanks
thank
for having
you
me.
so much for being here.
Thank you.
Everyone probably knows by now that I like to start the podcast with a couple of completely random getting to know you questions. The man behind the veil. So are you ready for this?
Okay.
Don't be scared. Let's start with something that people would be surprised to know about you.
Okay. Well, for quite a few years, I played in a band.
You
so
did?
I'm I guess technically a musician. Debatable if I'm a good one or not. But through high school, college, after college, even when I started my insurance career, I was actively playing in a band up and down the East Coast, and we were cover bands.
What was the name of the band?
The Low Budget Band. And if you saw us rolling in, you'd probably understand why we were the Low Budget Band. But yeah, so I played bass guitar in the band, but I can play guitar. One unusual thing, though, if you see me play, is I actually play right-handed guitar left-handed. So I play the guitar upside down. And that was just the way I learned how to play, because when I was a kid, everybody was right-handed, I was left-handed, and just saw the guitar, picked it up, and just taught myself how to play it. So I play it upside down, which kind of confuses folks when they watch me play, because they're like, the strings are all reversed, and they watch my hands moving, and they don't understand what I'm doing. So yeah, played in a band, and had a lot of fun doing that over the years.
Sing too, or just?
I did sing, although I was not the lead singer.
Okay.
I was backup, but I sang a fair bit, yeah.
Maybe we can find an old clip. We can edit it into the.
No, see, the best part is without social media being around, I can tell you.
No evidence.
Exactly, and I can tell.
Best of the best.
Exactly, that's what I can tell. I can tell everybody that you were absolutely the best. There's no proof.
Okay, this is a super important question. What are you streaming on TV right now?
Well, Ted Lasso. I think everybody's into Ted Lasso. Although I think it's kind of getting a little sappy now in this season. But
You don't like Roy Kent softening up a little bit?
no, I think actually Roy Kent would have been a hell of a broker.
Right. I agree.
But he would have fit right in with our crowd. The Last of Us.
Okay.
So that was actually something. One of my daughters said, "No, you got to really check this out." I'm not into that whole zombie apocalypse thing, but the way they did it, I think, was actually pretty interesting. So yeah, so it was actually really cool. I liked it.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I haven't watched that one. Ted Lasso, I'm totally in on.
yeah.
What celebrity would make you just tongue-tied starstruck?
That's easy. That's any Beatle, but particularly Paul McCartney, because Paul McCartney, when I was a kid, that was kind of he was my idol.
I mean, you're second in line to the Beatles is the low budget.
Yeah, low budget band, the Beatles. You never know, right? And we were okay in our day.
How did you originally get into the insurance industry? You've made such a career out of it. How did you get into it from the start?
Like anybody, I didn't plan on it. So I'm always fascinated when I run into people that maybe, their family's been in it. So they've kind of come into the business, through family members. But for me, it was simply answering an ad in the newspaper.
Really?
Yeah. So I had graduated, was playing in the band, kind of decided, all right, you know what, need to actually try to do something with my degree. I had a degree in mathematics and computer science. and saw an ad in the paper from MetLife in New York City, Manhattan, answered it. They gave me the job. My first job was updating mortality tables for life insurance.
Oh,
it was mind-numbingly boring. And
let's kill.
but I after a few months at Met, they had an internal posting for their reinsurance company, which was down in the Wall Street area. And they said, look, we need somebody that understands how to use one of these things called a personal computer, PC. And I answered it, and I lied. I said, yeah, I know how to use a PC, even though I knew nothing about PCs. And they gave me the job, and then that got me into reinsurance. So from there, I got into P&C. And
like most young people, you fake it till you make it.
Yeah, you fake it till you make it, right? So that was kind of
Hey.
yeah, it was one of those things. Didn't plan on it, and made that lateral shift into reinsurance. Was in the reinsurance end of the business for quite a few years, and then moved to insurance, and then ultimately started my own MGA, and now we're with Jencap. So it's been a good journey. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Very cool. I'm always surprised when I meet people that got into insurance on purpose. I'm like, wait, you went to college and met this?
Yeah, that is kind of fascinating to me that there's a whole degree program around this now,
yeah,
risk management.
Such a large industry. It's always funny to me.
It's about time, though. I think, it was a long time coming, and I think now the universities are getting behind it. I know that's one of our focuses at Jencap is to really build out a good pipeline of young talent coming into the company. So,
okay, one other question specific to you, and then we can dig into a couple of industry-specific trends and things that are happening. A lot of people watching probably don't realize how involved you are with St. Baldrick's Foundation. You have a lot of philanthropic endeavors that you participate in, but specifically St. Baldrick's Foundation. Your head is shaved right now.
That's right.
I'm guessing you just did a fundraising event.
Yeah, it's usually not this short.
A lot of people out there are like, oh yeah, isn't that the foundation that you shave your head and they're raising money for children's cancer? But you really were a pioneer in the organization of the foundation from the very beginning. So talk to us about your involvement with really just the history of St. Baldrick's Foundation and why it's such a personal mission for you to raise money.
Yeah, sure. So it actually started I believe it's about 24 years ago. And there was a group of us. We were out playing around a golf, and we were done and having a bit of a barbecue afterwards. And one of the gentlemen there was Tim Kenny, my former partner in Aaron. We were actually at Tim's house and probably had a few too many lemonades, as we tend to do when you're at a good barbecue. And Tim kind of put the challenge out to us. So there was 4 of us there, and he said, look, we're all kind of pretty set in our careers now. We're starting to do pretty well in the industry. We have to give something back. And one of the other gentlemen came up with a great idea. He said, we're going to shave Enda McDonald, who was one of the individuals there. He said, we're going to shave his head on the bar in Jim Brady's downtown Lower Manhattan on St. Patrick's Day. We're going to stand him up on the bar. We're going to shave his head. We're going to each raise $1,000 each. And that was the goal. The goal, there was 16 of us. We're going to each raise $1,000. We didn't know what we were going to do with the money, but we're going to donate it to some charity. So cut to the chase. We're there. St. Patrick's Day, spontaneously, I think we probably shaved about 20 people. And we raised about $100,000. So it was a little bit more than we thought. And we found the National Children's Cancer Institute, and we gave the donation to them. Next year rolls around, we're getting phone calls from folks, you're shaving heads again? We said, well, we didn't think we were, but I guess we will. And we had about 50, 60 people, and we raised about $800,000. And when we went back to them again and said, here's some more money we raised, they kind of looked at us and said, okay, now what are you idiots doing? Because this is kind of, mind-boggling. Yeah, but what do you, so we explained what we're doing. And I think at that point, they helped us get organized. So they helped us come up with logos, and we came up with the St. Baldrick's, which, Bald versus Patrick's on St. Patrick's Day. and then got us very well organized. And then really, Tim Kenny, John Bender, and Enda McDonald, they kind of, over the years, decided to take the foundation and create our own 529. And we were very fortunate to have some very good people over the years, particularly Kathleen Ruddy. She joined us and is executive director of the charity, and basically built a standalone charity at that point. And at this, I guess as of this moment, we've now raised and have donated to various causes of research for children's cancer research, about $325 million. So kind of started out as just a very simple, hey, we got to give back, to now, it's a standalone charity operating, on its own merits.
In 29 countries.
29 countries. Probably this year.
Unbelievable work.
Tens of thousands of people shaving their heads. It's just an easy thing for people to do. And it's just a sign of, our solidarity with the children that are going through chemo, that are losing their hair. And at the end of the day, the money all ends up, going to children's cancer research, because that's the mission of the foundation, is to, eventually come up with a cure. Most folks don't realize that almost 50% of all types of cancers exclusively affect children, particularly when they're growing. At this point, 1 in 5 children won't survive, their bout with cancer. So, our view is we're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep shaving heads. We're going to keep raising money until there's a cure. I think even at this point, there's over 100 fellows, doctors doing research that are paid by the foundation. So in addition to grants that we're giving to all the major universities and hospitals that are doing research, there literally are 100 folks on the payroll, so to speak, that are actually working on, towards a cure. It's kind of our passion. We got behind it, and I don't want to say it was an accident, because it was kind of planned, where we did say, hey, we want to do something. But as I tell everybody, in the moment where we came up with it, it was like, what difference could we make, in, just this small little act that we were going to do? And now I tell people, all those little things, you do them because they add up. Yeah. And they eventually become and can become things like the charity.
$500 billion charitable work.
Yeah. So it's kind of
sit around drinking beer.
Just from
take the next step. Okay, let's take the next step.
Take the next step, and that exactly is how it happened. And we're very proud of it. And to me, it's just more getting out there and waving the flag too, right? So that's why, obviously, you'll always see me a couple of times during the year. A bit bald. It's all about awareness, and we just want folks to get out there. stbaldrick's.org. It's easy enough to find on the website. And if you really believe in it and you want to support, children's cancer research, make a donation, or better yet, talk to us about running an event.
All right. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have John flip the cap. Dev DiAguardi currently holds the top of the leaderboard spot with only one toss. So we'll see how this goes. That's the score to beat, and we'll be right back. We're back, and you're listening to Flip the Cap. I'm joined with special guest John LaCava, Chief Operating Officer of Jencap. Coming up, we're going to discuss some really interesting trends happening with digital and technical advances as it relates to underwriting, M&A activity, interesting trends happening in the rate and the property aggregate capacity, and more. But first, John gets the privilege of flipping the cap.
Wow.
As you can see on our esteemed leaderboard, Deborah DiAguardi holds the top spot for 2 tosses. So that's the score to beat, John. The rules are very simple. Bottle cap, you're going to try to toss it into the cup. Just be mindful of your elbows.
Deb is already kind of talking smack to me about this.
Deb, you're holding your spot.
This is getting embarrassing.
It's like a trick game. You can't go out. You did great.
Deb, you're still champ.
Yep, she is.
I think I owe you $100.
We're back, and we have special guest John LaCava with us, Chief Operating Officer of Jencap. John has such a wealth of knowledge, being in the insurance industry for so many years, but a lot of specific experience on the program management side of the business. So we're going to jump in and talk about some really interesting trends and things happening. You really can't talk about insurance trends right now without talking about the rate environment and property valuations. So talk a little bit about those trends, but specifically how they're impacting the program management side of the insurance business.
I mean, obviously right now rate is a big issue, and rightfully so. I mean, I think on the program side, it's, I guess, more of a mission because we're obviously aligned with the carriers. So in that delegated authority slot, we're essentially acting as the carrier. So when they come to us and say, hey, this is the plan on how we want to obtain rate, how we want to change terms and conditions on the policy, particularly also property valuations, right? So we're in a space now where they want 100% valuation of the properties that we're insuring. And when they come to us and say, hey, this is what we need, we're in a position where we have to try to achieve those goals for them, because we're not in a position relative to their business that we can say, hey, no, we felt you were wrong, and we think we should only do 80% of what you need. It's a tough balancing act because you're trying to manage your book, you're trying to do a good job in the risk selection, but you're committed to them to get rate. So our underwriters are good at steering through this, but it's a big challenge for us right now. And what we inevitably probably see is we will lose business because of this. And we'll lose business because there's always somebody out there that's going to do it cheaper. And you make the commitment to the carrier, you make the commitment to the agreement that you're going to obtain the rate, you're going to follow the guidelines the way they've been given to you. Our view traditionally is, well, then you've got to try to execute that, right? So you can't necessarily just throw in the towel because it's going to be difficult or there might be some business that you're going to lose. The key is maintaining the relationship. And again, in that position that we sit, we are always constantly having to prove to the carrier that we're as good, if not better, than their in-house underwriters. It's a difficult environment for us right now. But I think the good thing is we've got a lot of senior underwriters that have been there before. So they've been through some of these markets, and they're helping some of our junior underwriters because, back in the day, it was fairly easy to sell, and buy some good business. But now when you've got to go back to your clients and your agents and say, hey, well, sorry, but there's 10, 15%, in some of the property markets, 25, 30% rate increase.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
Depending on what the risk is.
That's it's a different sell, right? And we've got loads of folks that had not ever been in that environment, so you're not even delivering bad news, you're delivering real bad news, right? Saying, hey, you've got to bring this to your client and this is the best we can give you. So it's it's a difficult time, but we've got good people and we're going to get through it.
How is the shift to, constantly seeing programs written on non-admitted paper and just this general shift to the E&S marketplace? How has that impacted the program side of the business?
It's actually, from our perspective, it's been a good thing. It's been a really good thing because traditionally, back in the day when we were doing programs, and we're doing almost all of our programs on an admitted basis, we tended to not be as nimble as we could be. And, part of the premise with what we're trying to do in the program space is look for those niches and those little spots in the market where we think we can create a product and service that segment better than the standard market. I think the shift to E&S and that freedom of rate and form has really helped us because it allows us to innovate and create product quicker. It definitely helped us out relative to implementation systems, things like that. So for in the program space, and it's not that there weren't any programs in the E&S market. I think what it's just done is it's allowed more and more of the business in the program space to sit in the E&S market, which makes it just a much easier, cost-effective way for us to put product out. The thing we see too is in the E&S market, we're more apt to find a carrier, or particularly somebody like Lloyd's of London, that will work with us on a startup idea, something brand new where we're saying, hey, look, this is the premise. We can't guarantee you X amount of premium or X, in terms of a growth, factor over the years, but we've done our research. This is what we think. And I think, again, that ability to move in and out with the freedom of rate and form is part of the reason, because you don't have this overhead of committing all the time for the filings and setting all this up in the admitted space, and then only to find out, well, it wasn't a $10 million opportunity, it was only a $5 million opportunity. So again, I think in that space, that's where E&S has actually been, I think, a very good thing for the program division and what we try to do.
You've been in the insurance industry for a long time. And
too long.
I would imagine, that this is an understatement, that you've seen the industry really transform itself so many different times over the last 40 years.
Yeah.
But honing in specifically on just the last few years, what have been some of the more meaningful trends that you've seen coming to be in the insurance industry, and how has it benefited our industry for the better?
To me, it's real simple. It's data and analytics. I think, if you go back many years, folks were getting into things like multivariate rating and using different data points to try to, predict risk and rate risk. And it was primarily kind of an isolated exercise. But I think the advent of big data and the internet really allowed now this idea of bringing more disparate data into the analytics and into the risk selection process has really taken off. And I think if you look at all our carrier partners right now, when we sit down and talk product, or we're talking, existing, relationships we have with them, it's all about data. And I think the shift has been accelerating quite a bit in the last 4 or 5 years. So from our perspective, it's important that we kind of evolve with that, right? Because as the carriers are becoming more sophisticated and they're demanding more data, whether it's in their rating models, whether it's in their analytics, their cap modeling and whatnot, we don't want to be that provider, that intermediary that doesn't have the data or can't provide the data, because then, obviously they're going to want to trade with the folks that can actually, give them the data they need. So we've had to kind of evolve along with that. Our focus over the last few years has been exactly that, is how do we improve our data? How do we improve our intake and do this in a passive way without putting too much pressure on the retailers? But there's just an amazing amount of information that comes in the typical submission that historically we were not using or would never make its way into a database. And that's actually the core of what the TSIQ project is about that we've been working on, is with Two Sigma and their product Submission IQ, is just working on ways to digitally unlock all of this data that actually does present it to ourselves. But more often it's paper, it's PDF, it's paper. How do we take that, digitize that data, and then essentially commoditize it, right? So then we're in a position where if any carrier wants to work with us, or, we're needing, maybe to move a program, or, again, on the brokerage side, we need to get quotes from that data, from that carrier. We're in a position now where we've got all the requisite data that they need, for their modeling, for their rating engines and whatnot. And, that move of the data seamlessly to them. So, you hear APIs and all the things folks are talking about in terms of just facilitating the transfer of data. That's another key element of it as well. So how do you create now for ourselves an ecosystem where we're bringing in all this information, digitizing it, and then being in a position to seamlessly give that to our carriers so that they can use it for their operations?
But it has significant benefit for our retail partners too.
100% in that the top carriers, if I'm for any insured, for any retailer working with their insured, they obviously want and hopefully can get quotes from the better companies out there, right? They don't want to be necessarily working their clients into a second tier carrier, right? So to access those top tier carriers, they need to have that data. So if we, as the intermediary, can do that for them, unlock all of that, provide it to the carrier, then obviously we're going to be able to present them quotes from those better companies. And it just works down the line from there. So now they're able to do, I think, a better job showing their clients, yeah, I can get you quotes from the top carriers. My partners at Jencap have access to the top markets, and they want to quote your business, versus I don't have the data. Can you help me get a quote? And being in a position where maybe it's, a second tier type carrier might be quoting their business, or they're in a position where they can't necessarily even get the type of coverage and quotes they need because they can't provide the data that's needed in order to properly set up the quote.
And it also significantly saves time, right? From the retailers, putting that submission together to us, and our ability to get back to them faster, which is the 100%.
And that is truly, one of the I guess ancillary benefits of all this is the speed to market, right? So now things that were taking us, 12, 24 hours, maybe even 48 hours to work through, can literally take, and I hate to say minutes, but can literally take minutes. And if you've seen the technology, it's absolutely impressive. But we'll be in a position, even if we don't need it to take minutes, we'll be in a position though, where particularly if it's somebody comes to us and says, look, I need your help. Can you help me work on this? There is a bit of a time constraint. We'll be able to move through that submission so quickly that literally we should be in a position in a matter of minutes that we could prep that and have it on an underwriter's desk ready to quote. And the key is having all the data there that the underwriter requires to quote. Yeah. So the speed to market will be huge. It'll be a big differentiator for us because, over time, the retailers are smart. They know who to go to. They know who can actually produce results quickly. And, that's the slot we want to be in. We don't want to be in a position 5 years from now where the carriers want all of this data. We can't necessarily provide it. And then on the other side, the retailers realize, well, you can't really service the business as quickly as some of your competitors. Maybe I can't work with you anymore. Yeah. So we're kind of right in that slot that, this is a big transformation for us. And, and we think we've got the right strategy, the right technology, and we certainly think we have the right partners in Two Sigma as we're working on this. So a lot of that's rolling out right now in the company, and more to follow. There'll be a lot more of it coming out in the next year.
I was reading an article yesterday, unrelated to insurance, but the cell phone turned 50 years old yesterday, and it was talking about how you always overestimate innovation in the short term and you underestimate innovation in the long term. And it had me thinking about the insurance industry, but also just so many of the technological advances that exist, playing around with Chat GPT of just, hey, I have a completely random question. Wow, okay, you just completely wrote a blog post for me, in the marketing world. And there's just so much at our fingertips that is being leveraged, but also just completely untapped opportunity for us to be more efficient in our business. So it'll be really interesting to see
exactly
over the coming years how we're able to take advantage of so many of the advances that exist today.
Well, and the key for us is, at our core, we're always a people business, right?
Yeah.
And the key is getting back that time, right? So shortening the timelines on the one side, but literally giving all that time back to our staff so that now we can be experts in solving problems, as they're coming in, and fulfilling those requests in a very timely manner. So, that time element of it is a big piece. Yeah. So, it's all about the data. That's kind of what it comes back to. Data is transforming our business, and folks don't want to kind of get behind that. I think, quite honestly, they're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
So we're kind of right there in the middle, and we've got some really good strategies around this, and really good commitment from JJ on down in the company. So that's always important too. So the having that management team that actually sees that value and supports the project, supports the initiative. So it's going to be fun.
So Jencap's one of the largest players in the program space. I don't know that some people realize just how significant we are in that space. So talk a little bit about how Jencap is structured and what some of the key benefits are to our exclusive programs.
Our division is Jencap Program Administrators, and there's 4 operating entities below that. There's Minico Insurance Agency, which is our lead P&C agency. We've got 2 medical stop-loss agencies in Aaron Insurance Underwriters and IAT out of Nashville, and as well as a accident and health TPA, HRMP, which is in Danvers, Mass. And I think the good thing about having them still essentially members of the Jencap group, but not necessarily branded as Jencap, is it allows them to work with all intermediaries, all producers. So we will do business with the RTs, the Amwins, and whatnot within the program space. So that becomes easier when those companies are still legacy branded, if we want to call it that.
Yeah.
So it was a conscious decision, again, because there's no reason for us to alienate some of that distribution. We're trying to leverage across all the entities, but again, it's a structure that allows us to do more M&A if we want to, although the market maybe right now isn't so great to do some M&A. The structure is more built to perpetuate the business, so to speak. So, and it works. It works well for us.
And something that is just speaks to the power of the Jencap platform, and something that we all feel so proud to be able to market and to talk about our company is the second we see a need in the marketplace that needs to be filled, we're out there putting a program together. I've seen a bunch of buzz lately about the need for site pollution liability for cannabis. We were the first ones to create that program over a year ago because we were on the front lines of the cannabis industry and saw that there was a huge hole in the marketplace in terms of being able to fill that important coverage. And I just think that that's such a testament to our, like you said, our goodwill with our carriers, the profitability that we're able to exhibit from an underwriting perspective, and just the overall clout and size that we have, that we can move quickly on those things. And we have the relationship that, they're like, what do you need? What do you want?
I can
put that together for us.
I can honestly say it's kind of, it's a testament to everybody on the team at Jencap that I have never gone or been in front of a carrier yet that says we don't want to work with you. Right. It's usually the exact opposite. We're getting solicited by the carriers to say, hey, we understand that you're a complex organization. You've got a lot going on within Jencap and then up through to Galway, but we want to trade with you. We would, we value and understand what you've done in the program space. We'd love to sit down and work with you on some new ideas, new opportunities. And that's a good space to be in, right? And I think it's a testament to all our underwriters that I think at this point in time, we don't have any programs right now that have any loss ratio issues. So the programs are making their carriers an underwriting profit. And as long as you're making the carrier an underwriting profit, you'll have no problems at all with the carrier, right?
Right.
And that's the key. The key is delivering, right? And I think that's the one thing that I've always seen with Jencap that we're very good at. We deliver. We deliver on the promise. And as long as you do that, the rest of the stuff takes care of itself.
The last thing I'll note on the program side, just for our retailers listening, is if you have an appointment with Jencap for our brokerage capabilities, our binding authority capabilities, our exclusive programs are at your disposal. Yeah. And I'm not sure that some retailers realize that you're truly getting an all-access pass to all things Jencap, to our 26 plus exclusive programs in various different industries and lines of business. So again, just a testament to the power of Jencap and our ability to
100%.
Provide innovative solutions for our agents.
And if the agent is working under an older legacy agreement, all it takes is literally one signature, and we'll move them into an agreement that gives them access to all product, all services.
Yeah.
So
who doesn't want an all access insurance pass?
yeah, why not? And
With Jencap's logo on it, preferably.
oh, that's the goal, right? We're one of the few folks that can actually do that for the retailers, that we have, that ability to access binding authority, our transactional brokerage, our programs, and some of the exclusive programs we have. And, we've got a really deep team too, which is pretty nice. So, we're not afraid to create the solution wherever the solution needs to be.
Yep.
And that's the key, right? And then that, all those other good things, quality service, quick turnaround. I mean, it's one thing for some companies to talk about it, but, we try to obviously live that every day. So that's part of the secret sauce as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, our time is up.
Okay.
John, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. I'm your host, Kathryn Smith. You're watching Flip the Cap, the insurance industry's premier podcast, where insurance insights flow and trending topics are always on tap. Until next time, cheers.